Joining me on set this morning to talk extensively on the climate change, how to sustain it, and the rest of that. We have Dr. Itita Ekpe. He's a climatologist on climate change and sustainability. He's been a regular face on the show. Doctor, good morning, and it's so good to have you on the show this morning. I think we've met this year, so no need to tell you Happy New Year. Have we met this year? Okay, so we can say Happy New Year. Yeah. Okay, let me quickly take you back to 2015. Far away in France, we had the Paris 2015 agreement on climate change. So far, the nations of the world, how have they been able to put this in place?
Also gather to ensure that they can talk about climate change because of the impact they experience in the fast moving environment and the impact on human lives, the economy, disease, and wildlife, and other form of sustainability. So that was meant to see how we can mitigate the impact of climate change and then help humans adapt. And there also the target of that conference was to see how the doubling period of climate change can be reduced. Instead of hitting 2 degrees Celsius, we should at least target 1.5 degrees Celsius. That was the emphasis of that conference. And at the end, commitments, you had what we call IPCC agreement of 2015. Paris Agreement of 2015 was made by different nations, commitments to see how we can curb down climate change, industrialization, reduce industrial activities, also ensure that we use renewable energy like biofuel, and also ensure that industries also reduce their carbon emission. Like automobiles, the companies projected to move into electric vehicles to help them also see how we can cut down the use of carbon of crude oil and the carbon that emits much of the carbon that we experience. So the nations met also agreed, and then all had signed this agreement to be part of it. And the nations have been moving together, talking, see how they can review this. 2018 they met again, so they can review this, and then how monitoring each of the nations to see what we were doing to reduce the impact of climate change. But surprisingly, I would like to use the United States as a case study. Some countries did not really align to it because they see it as a way of hitting hard on the economy. Like the United States, President Trump decided that the United States would put off the agreement, that this was targeted at the United States. But the United States funds climate activities globally more than any other nation. So saying, why should we carry this burden for the world? And you want us to reduce our emission, means some companies have to be closed down, or some companies have to limit their productivity. And because of that, he decided that the United States was going to pull off out of the climate change agreement, where China tried to carry the rest of the world. Europe met, China decided to meet, and we're going to continue on this. So the nations have been trying, but the big one was the United States trying to pull up. But thank God that we have a president, who has pledged after swearing in to ensure that we turn back to the agreement, and then the country to connect the world again to ensure everybody work in line with the agreement and curb down climate change impact.
Okay, let's look at the green economy. I'd love you to talk to us about that, because in the midst of high level of industrialization, and the Paris 2015 agreement still talked about the green economy. How have we been able to, have we even achieved that up to 20% globally?
We've not, because if you want to look at Europe, for instance, they don't even have much of the space to practice the green economy. Look at places like China, the installation is so high, even homes are being used as companies to produce things. different things that we use today, most of them comes from China. So you see very, very high. But we have in Africa, that is where we can drive this more. The green economy can be driven more. That's why our government thought it wise to key into this and try to create green economy in Cross River State. What we eat, green economy is simply basing the economy on agriculture. That means we can make money using agriculture, not just production and manufacturing that emits most of this carbon into the atmosphere. So the world is still trying to adjust because of competition. Countries, everybody wants to produce, everyone wants to sell, everyone wants to make money and become more power. So the green economy issue is still very much a drag, but we are trying to adjust to that. But even packaging now, Europe is trying to say we can package even with the bags that we use to be biodegradable. That's what they're trying to do, to see how we use the amount of quality.
Okay, what we want to find out as a climatologist, what will happen if the world heat up more drastic in the nearest future? What will happen to humans?
What will happen is we are going to be experiencing more of natural disaster. We will experience more of floods, tsunami. So there are so many nations that are located below sea level, or just 1.5. Places like Maldives, just 1.5 meters above sea level. Those kind of nations will be washed away because the warming of the atmosphere means the polar region where the iceberg will be melting and sea level will rise. And then we also have issue of plants that cannot withstand certain temperature. Because of that, they may extinct. There are also animals can withstand certain temperature, whether they will be extinct. You start having mosquito in the United States, no that one implication. You start having mosquito in places like Russia, no one implication will be for them there, because they are not used to it. So change in that the temperature will affect humans, will affect the ecology, will affect the economy, will affect everything that we do. So that's why we need to reduce global warming.
Okay. Before we go to the solution, let's quickly get to find out what are those diseases that will thrive when there is climate change. Could you highlight a few diseases that thrive during climate change?
When there is climate change, when the temperature increases, we'll have skin disease will thrive more. Sunburn, like the place that they have what we call sunburn on the skin, and we also will be having, because of the change and how West is exposed, even waterborne diseases will thrive because a free-flowing water is fresh and alive for us to consume. Most of people in Africa, most of our dwellers are still in rural areas and still drink from this stream. So waterborne disease will thrive very, very much, and other form of internal heat and
Okay, Doctor, I'd love you to talk to us about renewable energy, because that is what the world is really pushing towards. You go to some houses, they are still using this hot bulb, and that alone has a terrible effect on the skin. So I'd love you to talk to us on renewable energy. What's the way forward in combating climate change?
It's for all of us to be aware of this and then try to adjust to follow. Like now we have the LED bulb. They are far better than the normal bulb that we have in our houses. They conserve energy more, and also we also have, like, with the government some time ago came up strongly with biofuel. That instead of people using normal fuel from crude oil, we can be using biofuel from plants. Even remember during the Messenger region, we're talking about cassava being used to produce biofuel. And really, like Nigeria, we're being touted to be used as a place where we can grow this plant for biofuel. Brazil also needed land to sure this is done. And we also have solar. Solar can be used more. Instead of us using generators at home, we can key into solar to generate electricity whenever our light is off. And we can also look at the aspect of um, of using more of gas also than firewood. So these are all renewable energies. These are all energies that can disappear from the environment faster than carbon. The main problem that we have in the energy we are using today, most of the companies that industry use today is the carbon. So any energy that don't contain high carbon is renewable and very, very advisable to be used so that it can cut down the impact of climate change.
Let's also look at the economic cost of using the solar and inverter and all of that, especially the solar. It's quite expensive.
Yeah.
So how do we go about it?
It's quite expensive, but the governments can try to also see how they subsidize. When governments subsidize, like what the government in the developed world try to do is subsidize renewable energy. Those want to use that, companies that manufacture that, while they tax the companies that they still do more carbon related energy. So if the government subsidizes that, it helps everyone. It's expensive, but the government can decide anyone who imports it, this is what we'll give to you to see how people can go for this more instead of, and then you tax more of what the fuel. Now the price of fuel can actually shoot up. You also discourage a lot of people from cars, discourage a lot of people from also using fuel and take and also reduce the amount of automobiles on the road and rather use public transport. So this also helps to ensure that we come down the impact of climate change and everyone is still comfortable.
Okay, we've seen you've talked to us about the impact of climate change on the humans, and let's quickly look at the impact of climate change on the environment. Remember, today we are looking at climate change and the environment. What's the impact of climate change on the environment?
The impact is much. Today we are having Harmattan season that we cannot really understand what is happening. Either is Harmattan or that is climate change that is being before us. But for now, we know that Harmattan season starts from November, from the last week of November up to March. But this is January. We have gone through 2 weeks. Harmattan is not very much here in the States, so it has impact. But it now helps and bringing false predictions and then false expectations, poor planning, and also like it also leads to the extinction that I said before, the extinctions of some plant that cannot withstand hot weather. So it affects. It also leads to landslide. That people that whose houses are low lying, they can be washed away by flood. It also leads to even the roads that are constructed being washed away. Climate change also can lead to forest fire. Like what we have the Cold War where we have Australia and California region also we have United States. A lot of bushfire, wildfire and then animal migration also being experienced and discomfort for humans also trying to see how they can change and adapt. We have people windstorm, high windstorm, like when you have windstorm, thunderstorm, windstorm in the month of April and October. Having this off the period will impact the people and even the economy also impact on farmland. The land becomes too dry for crops to go into get bombs to get more water for the plant. So these are some of the impact that you can have on the environment. If you have any impact on the environment, it's impact on the humans and the economy.
Okay, having laid all of this on the table, what's the way forward? What's the solution? How do we stop climate change?
The way forward is for all of us to be part and parcel of what is happening. Be aware of what is happening in our environment. Be aware of climate change. Expect. We expect everybody to be part and parcel of managing the environment. Don't say it's the government thing. It's that taking a little way we can also help to ensure we cut down this impact of climate change. If you don't need to drive your car, park it some days. Limit the number of the times you drive the car. You can use public transport and take a walk, and this will help to reduce the amount of carbon being emitted to the atmosphere. And also, if you need to eat more of plant-based food instead of always going for manufactured produced food. You can also recycle. You can reuse that polythene. You can reuse rubber products. We can reuse a lot of things to see how we can also contribute to reduce the impact on the environment. And above all of us have to be environment conscious. You cut down a tree, plant two. If it's staying where you have no trees, plant trees. Avoid bush burning and to communicate within the communities, villages who don't have this knowledge, and also you can take a message back home from those that are elderly people. Let's conserve our environment. Let's become environment. If not so, communities that depend on fresh water might not have fresh water in the near future if the watersheds are being cut down and used for agriculture. So these are some of the ways we can also help to mitigate the impact of climate change.
Dr. Itita Ekpe, climatologist on climate change and sustainability. Thank you very much for your time on the show this morning.
Thank you,
We
sir.
hope to have you some other day to talk more on this particular issue. Thank you for your time. It's in the Good Morning Cross River, the Tuesday editions. Go away. We still have more for you. Stay.